looks of the vehicle, which can only mean that they haven't seen many vehicles before. Two beautiful lionesses. Oh, that's a spectacular thing to see. No, I don't think she's too nervous. She's coming towards us, so she should be fine. Does anybody know who they are? Okay, I'm going to sneak a little bit forward. It's going to be very bumpy because the vehicle is, at least the ground here is very, very sort of pitted. Now I'm going to try. Apparently poor old Brent is... Oh, look at that. The lions gave those water dickops a bit of a fright. Okay, I'm just going to see if I can get across to the other side of the water here. Brent has been sat here apparently for about 20 minutes and they didn't come out, so they must have been watching him and you. Stations 2 Lioness static at Twin Dams.
Thanks very much.
So there seems to be some sort of agreement from lots of our viewers that these could be the Styx lionesses. Thank you very much for that. I haven't seen them before. And that we're at, Suzanne wants to know where we are. We're at Treehouse Waterhole. So we're right on the southern boundary of the reserve. We had some guinea fowl there. So we'll add that to our little list and we'll add those water thickneys or dickops to our list as well. These seem to be in far better condition than the Nkahuma lionesses we saw yesterday. Much more in the way of a muscle mass and definitely much better fed. Possibly younger. So often there's been quite a lot of research done on the optimum sort of size of a pride. And there's some instances where the research has shown that the pride's actually, a single lioness on her own will have a greater chance of catching an animal than will a pair of lionesses or a pride of lionesses. So it's, in some areas, it's not clear why necessarily lions form prides other than to protect their babies. So while you might look at these two and think, well, it would be much better if they had a bigger pride, the chances of success are not necessarily that much greater in a bigger pride. What they are able to do in a bigger pride is possibly defend themselves more from other lions. But two like this will form a very effective hunting unit, especially if they're trying to catch things like kudu or nyala, or things like that. They obviously won't be able, they'll struggle to take down bigger prey, but even these two could take down a zebra if they needed to, or a wildebeest. What I'm going to do is try and position, just get around the other side of the water there and see if we can't get some sun on them. Yes, no, she's definitely not phased, and she's got herself, I suppose, the equivalent of a milk moustache. She's got a mud beard from drinking in the water.
Got his head in my way.
So I suspect this is where they will remain for much of the rest of the day, unless something comes along. They're definitely quite wary. They're very awake, very around, sort of listening carefully. Their ears are constantly twitching. Their eyes they're shut and then they open. You know how difficult it is for lions to stay awake for more than half a second. Louisiana. How it is you've come across the information that you have, I don't know, but I'm extremely impressed. Apparently the 3 Sticks lionesses from further south of this area have got cubs, and you want to know if there are suckle marks on these lionesses. I'm not sure. I haven't been able to see their bellies yet. I'm just going to sneak a little bit forward so that my balding head is not constantly in shot when I lean forward. There we go, that's a bit better. I will try and have a look to see if there are suckle marks. Lions, of course, will cross-suckle, but that is only effective, of course, if more than one lioness has cubs at the same time, because they don't obviously produce milk unless they have current cubs. She's overwhelmed with fatigue. But every time the wind blows, she picks up the scent of something and lifts her head. They're just not quite relaxed. beard. I don't know what everybody's bird count is at the moment. I think we're doing pretty well. We've had the 3 birds here: red-billed hornbill, 3-banded plover, and water thick-knee. Ridiculous name for a bird, really, a thick knee. They have a slightly thicker knee than some, I suppose, but not noticeably so. And this breeze is just further adding to the sleepiness of the sort of mid-morning. When the sun comes up, there's always a sense of anticipation and energy about the place. And when it gets to around about this time of the morning, the breeze comes up and it just, everything sort of breathes out where it's breathed in at sunrise, and everything quietens down. And the whole bush seems to You lost us there briefly. Not sure what happened. Perhaps one of the 18,000 satellites orbiting the Earth smacked into one of our transmitting satellites. But here we are, back within the soporific bush, where the atmosphere is quietening down. Ooh, she spotted something. No, I think she's heard the engine of a Land Cruiser diesel coming in. So if anybody could give me some indication as to whether the Styx Pride is a name that has been bandied around the Sabi Sands for many years. So why they should be so aware of vehicles, I really couldn't tell. It's possible they've had a stressful night in some way, and so life. That vehicle you can hear is the inimitable Scott Dyson, who's been driving around trying to find animals on his morning off. We're very grateful to him. I might nod off too if I have to watch that lioness close her eyes too many more times. There's just such an atmosphere of slumber starting to build around this dam. You can just catch on the wind the smell of the winter grass. A slight hint of the potato bush coming out of the drainage line. a slight sense of a change in pressure in the air that will come with the front. Hi, John in California. You've asked a great question about whether they're not perhaps wary because they're out of their territory. I don't know the lions very well in this area, but I do know that the sticks do come through here quite a lot. I don't think they're out of their territory. I don't think the Nkuhuma Pride comes this far south, as far as I'm aware. We were right on the boundary of Juma, and I think it's Torchwood or Chitwa. It's Chitwa. And so, no, I don't think they're out of their territories. They might be on the northern boundary, but they're certainly not incurring into another pride's domain. So I don't think that's why they're wary. They may have come across one of the males, one of those big males we had a few days ago, the Matimba males, or even potentially, I know that in the rest of the Sabi Sands there are quite a few young coalitions of males coming into the area, and they may have had an interaction with them. Scott is just following up on, I don't know if you heard that Franklin's going ballistic just now. They're still shouting. Scott's just going to check if something exciting hasn't disturbed them. I'm glad to see that our little bird competition seems to have riled a few people up and roused them. We might have to have a few more of those. And just to confirm, I hope that you did see the water thickneys. I'm certainly claiming it, especially while Brent Leo Smith is away on another property and has no way to check whether I'm being truthful or not. And we're also going to call the red-billed hornbill onto our list. It's an astonishing sort of diversity of birds that we do have in the area. Probably, if they were very careful, the species list here, including vagrants, and the vagrant is a species that might be found here not very often, but is around. We've probably got a species list of around about 300 in this area, which is pretty impressive, considering I think in the UK there are only about 150 birds in total. So we've got quite a few here. But then you go to an area like Bafuri, in the north of the Kruger Park, there'll be up to 500 different species of birds, which is unbelievable. That's in the summertime with all the migrants. Then it switches to the north, and they seem to relax a bit. Ooh, there we go, flying across screen. We're definitely claiming that. That's the grey go-away bird. Look there. Rosie on Twitter, thank you for your input. You've said that one of the sticks of pride has 3 very small cubs. They're obviously not here with us now, And I'm not sure if it's one of these two or one of the rest of the pride. But if they're very small, then they're probably not too far from here. If they're part of these two, I don't think these two are the mothers, or one of them's a mother, because it would be unlikely that they would rest here. If they had a kill, they would certainly feed away from the cubs, but to be resting here would be unusual. It's not impossible, but it would be unusual. And that you can hear in the background, that is a crested barbet. Dave in Toronto, great question. You've asked, I'm sorry, I'm just going to quickly answer this question on the radio and then I'll be back with you. And 2 lioness still static at Treehouse Dam. There we go. We've got high action for a lion. That is serious action going on here. Oh. Dave, you wanted to know if there is an instance where a male lion will go hunting with the pride. If they happen to be with the pride and something like buffalo come past, they will most certainly help with the hunt. But they'd have to sort of be with the pride at the time that the lionesses went hunting. Then they will definitely help with the kill. Probably not with the initial stalking, but certainly if the lioness is chased, the males would then help to bring down big prey, especially like buffalo. Somehow they know that, without the males, they can't take down things like buffalo, unless there are a huge number of lionesses, and they tend to go for smaller prey then. But if there are males around, they will often go for big things like buffalo. We've got a question or a sort of an indication that the spots, if you look at the legs there, on the hind legs of that lioness, they are born, remember, with spots, lions. They look almost like little leopards when they're born, or very pale leopards when they're born. Excuse me. And those spots are a remnant from when they're little, so they need to have those spots when they're babies, because they live in sort of deep shade and dappled light, and the spotting helps them to remain camouflaged. I've spotted something there. And then those spots disappear as they get taller, because when they get taller, they tend to move out into the savanna and woodland areas where that tawny color is a more effective form of camouflage for an animal of their size. Were they to be spotted like a leopard at that size, they'd probably be much more easy to see through the grass in the savanna areas. But they do retain some of that spotting on their legs often, and that lioness there that you're looking at has retained more than most. You can hear the little crested barb in the background. The alarm clock bird. He's looking at something. She's looking at something. Not sure what it is. Gotta check if Scott did actually find anything.
got in front of him. Is there any update on
More high action. We're going to get her in the sun. I'm just going to come back. That's got a nice shot. She's going. Right, I'm going to move now, and we'll just try and get a bit of her face in the sun. Here comes the other one, Phil. Try and get her. We just can't do it. That's very nice. Beautiful. Couple of nervous looks there on the back of that other vehicle. Unfortunately, they have gone into a drainage line along a path here, and I know that the signal from there is not very good. There they go, down through there. Oh. Gone down into this drainage. I'm going to go around this side and see if we